So what do you do when you have opportunities? Do we lean into those opportunities or do we just let them go by? A lot of people live with regret. And today I'm bringing on an individual that has taken every opportunity that has been thrown at him and he's done something excellent with it. And I want you to hear some of his struggles. I want you to hear what he has achieved and what he continues to achieve. So without further ado, let's get into it. So welcome back to High Ground Financial Freedom Podcast, the Freedom Podcast where we talk about faith, family, finance, and fitness. And today I'm bringing on an individual that I've been trying to catch for a long time, but he's busy, I'm busy. But today I got him, and his name is Roger Craig. He is a retired Command Sergeant Major. And I want him to share his story and talk about some of his struggles in the Army, out of the Army, some of his transition stories, and just what he's doing with himself. And he's gotten into real estate. And I really want to lean into that, with the whole financial literacy. And, I talk about real estate on my channel. So I really want him to talk about it as well. So Roger Craig, for the listeners and the viewers who do not know anything about you, share away, brother.
So first thing is I'm a family man, Roger Craig, born in Florida, and putting a lot of value and confidence in family. And that really drives everything that I do. 33 years of active military service, and even during that time frame, I was still being family driven. I like the way that you and I connected back when we first met, but also having that stuff lead into how we're going to be after the Army. Many conversations you and I had were not just about what we're doing in the Army, but what we're going to do after that. I remember lots of times speaking with you about financial literacy and how I wanted to go in a different direction with real estate, but the connectivity therein is really, really tight. So hopefully our conversation can go in that direction. But about me, just a man that values his family. And I think I got that from my dad and my mom growing up, and then being the youngest of 13 kids, having all of those siblings to make the family the center of whatever it is that we're doing.
Man, I love that. I love you started off with the whole family, and that has been your theme since I've known you. Even when we had our loss with one of our brothers in the military, it was all about family and leaning in and helping each other. How can we help each other move forward and progress? Yeah. So let's talk 33 years, man. That's 3 decades and then 3 years. That's a long time, Brother Craig.
It is a long time.
So let's talk about that transition. So after you did those 3 decades, what was your transition like leading, coming out the military? Let's talk about that.
I feel like my transition was fairly smooth. I also want to make a correction there because some people listening may be fact checking. It was 32 years, 10 months, and about 25 days. I say it's 33 years, but it's really just a little bit short of 33 years. But that transition coming out of the military, I decided to have a very conscious move into the civilian world. And I like to think that my activity as a sergeant major helped me with that, because as my first sergeant days, I was running and gunning with the best of them and not thinking about life after the Army. But when I became a sergeant major, I worked among a lot of civilians they worked for me, but in reality, they had more knowledge than I did. And I listened to the advice that they gave me to make sure I was taking care of my medical things that I needed to do for after the Army. But more importantly, the education piece and who am I without the Army? What do I want to be after the Army? So in doing that and listening to the mentors that I had out there, I decided a couple of different routes. I wanted to go into education and I wanted to go into real estate. Real estate was really just a hobby before then. My wife and I just enjoyed looking at properties and going around. We would go to open houses, and we're not making any money from this. This is just what we did for fun. So I took some of the things that we did for fun and just turned it into something that can be profitable. And then the connectivity, therefore, as a first sergeant and then as a sergeant major, being able to help people, real estate helped me do that. Mm-hmm. I'm able to help people realize their dreams. And in some cases, there's some people who didn't even have the dream, and now they see the possibilities, and then I can help them get into some properties as well.
Okay, so you help people get into rental properties and initial ownership, like first-time home buyers, all of that.
Yeah, so first-time home buyers, getting into their even additional properties after they're not necessarily first-time home buyers. But I do specialize in the military client, being a military relocation professional. One of the certifications that I wanted to make sure that I got before I went out to be a realtor. But being the military relocation professional, it really digs into things that you and I already know. But for a civilian who hasn't dealt with the military, it'll teach them about the PCS cycle and what families go through during the PCS, some of the logistics of that. It'll help people understand that. But for me, getting that certification, it was just something that was reiterating what I already know. But helping people get into rental properties and investment properties, that's something that I do now, but I really get the joy of helping people get into their own home that they're going to live in.
Man, that's great. And so you came out of the military straight into real estate. What else are you doing?
So I recently became an author, but also I became a realtor before I left the military. I was a realtor while serving as a sergeant major here at the academy. So I was doing real estate before I retired. Once I retired, I became a certified youth counselor for the state of Texas. So I counsel youth in my transition, and that has always been a passion of mine, to help kids. So a couple of different routes and things that I've done. I was interested in so many different things, but then knowing that I can't do everything, I had to channel things into a direction that best fit me.
Okay. So we may circle back to that youth thing, but I really want to lean into, struggles. Did you struggle coming out, or did you just move from military straight into staying busy, moved into real estate, and just author? I want to talk about that, being an author too. So how was that coming out? Like the whole thing. What helped you really transition from the military into where you're at right now?
Yeah. I think it was the preparation. I don't feel like I struggled, but it wasn't because it was just easy. It's the preparation piece that makes it a little bit less difficult. So again, listening to all those mentors and then setting things up, and there was a little bit of anxiety about how things are going to be once you leave the military, because if you're a soldier for that long, 3 decades of being a soldier, going into a new style of living, a new chapter in your life can be a little bit daunting, but if you've done the preparation for it, it doesn't feel that bad. By becoming a realtor before I retired, it allowed me to get my feet wet in it and then become proficient at it before I actually retired. But you and I went through the fellowship program. We both became Penn State graduates with our master's in education, and that set me up to teach here at the Sergeant Major's Academy. So while I'm a realtor, I am still an instructor here at the Sergeant Major's Academy, and as you mentioned earlier, I'm an author. So I'm doing many things, but that education piece helps out a lot.
Man, so author, retired command sergeant major, teaching at the academy. So is it safe to say that financially you're set? You've set yourself up professionally and financially?
Definitely so. I feel like some conversations that you and I had while we were here at the academy working together. But even before that, there were some things that we set in place. My wife and I had set in place, but there's some things that you don't know. And my family didn't teach me these things. The idea that we had was, if you're going to save money, put it into a savings account. That was the way to save money. And then it was years later before I figured out that is not necessarily the best way to grow your money. So am I financially stable? I would say yes. My wife and I are fairly comfortable. A lot of that has to do with how we did things while we were on active duty, but it still has a lot to do with, I don't know if you want to get into real numbers, but there's a retirement check and a disability check that are substantial, and it takes care of a lot of things. And then having a GS-11 paycheck matters. And then selling properties, there's lots of financial gain in that aspect. An aspect that is problematic, though, with being new to financial stability, because again, I didn't learn it with my family. but it is taxes and how I had to finally get an accountant to handle taxes because I didn't know what I was doing well enough to make sure that I was getting things done in the right way.
But I think that's a good problem to have, though. I mean, what has that done for you mentally and physically, knowing that you don't have to stress over money? What has that done to you as a man and as the provider? Because you know the weight is put on us as men. Not taking nothing away from women, single mothers out there. Okay, but when the world looks, let's say somebody's getting ready to break into a house, the police don't come to the house asking the wife, "What did you do?" Everybody's looking at the man.
Yeah.
Again,
Yeah.
not taking nothing away. I don't want to offend nobody. But what has that done for you mentally and physically, having everything pretty much taken care of?
It's an incredible weight that's lifted, but also there's some personal satisfaction because these things don't happen by themselves, right? It's all due to the efforts that we put out there, and again, the way you phrase that, right? Not lessening the contributions of the woman, of the wife, because my wife is a GS-12, and you know she's doing well financially in her own right. We don't have really separate money in the Craig house, but she's not hurting financially, right? But a lot of the things that we've done, there are some things that I may have taken some chances on, but I had her to be a grounding factor, saying, "Hey, maybe we shouldn't risk this, or maybe we shouldn't risk that." So having her has been a very important part of our success. But the idea of being financially stable, not having to worry about money, not having to worry about where the next meal is coming from, it seems to me that is a sad thing that we have to be proud of. I feel like no one should have to worry about those things, but the reality is lots of people do. And the reality is that I have had to do that myself. But being now mentally and physically, that having that weight lifted, it's a good thing. It's a good feeling.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing I talk about is scarcity. You know, in the world we live in, especially in the U.S., we live in a state of scarcity. And when you have scarcity mindset, you hold on to everything. You hoard whatever you have.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the mindset is someone's going to take, every time you see an opportunity or someone else doing something, you think of, well, they're taking something from me, as opposed to it's enough for everybody to eat. We're all in this together.
Yeah.
And so when I talk about money, it's not about money, it's about mindset. It's about having that financial freedom, which leads into having all these other great opportunities, which let's talk about the book. Well, before I get into the book, let's talk about housing, like buying a house. What would you say to someone that is afraid to purchase a home or is considering rental property? What would you say to them?
The first piece before getting a rental property is getting your own property, getting a place to live, and starting to build equity in your own home. And if you're worried about that, if you're fearful of doing that because of whatever things you may not know about, like the lack of knowledge, then sit down with a professional so that someone can talk to you about it. The biggest concern that I hear about is that buying a house costs too much. But the reality is you're paying for a house. If you're renting a property, you're paying for that house, and you're probably paying more than what that person's mortgage is. If you had simply gotten the mortgage yourself, you would be paying less per month than what you're paying for rent, in most cases, or in many cases. The biggest challenge that we have is if you're going to pay rent, you simply have to have first month, last month's deposit, and then maybe another pet deposit if you have pets. So you're getting into a rental property with $4,000 out of pocket. But when you're buying a property, even with a VA no money down loan, there's still fees that go along with that. You're coming out of pocket with a lot more money substantially, right? But let's say you're not a veteran, it is a lot of money. So the initial upfront money to buy a property can be a problem for many people. But once you sit down with a professional, there's ways to get assistance with that as well. So especially if you're a first-time home buyer, getting into a property for you to live so that you can start building equity in your own home, which over time is going to be a lot more money for you. And then in some cases, you can even tap into that equity if you need to. That's a lot longer conversation. But for building wealth over time, getting into your property and doing it younger. And I really enjoy when I'm able to help a young couple get into a home. And I'm working right now with a young single soldier who is working on getting a property. It's such an amazing thing to see them getting started young, where I wish I had someone to teach me back in those days that had I done this a lot earlier, the benefits would be a lot greater. And you and I had some conversations about investment early and how over time the investments can be better if you do it early enough. Not saying that you can't do these things later in life, but man, the earlier you get into these things, the better your returns are going to be. And in the rental property piece, once you have your own property for you to live in, you've secured your space in the community. Then the next piece, can you get some more properties? Because as we're coaching people to not rent, some people are just not in a position to buy a home. So somebody's going to rent the property, and that's an opportunity for you to make money. And then when you buy a house and you're having someone else rent it, that person is paying off your mortgage. So even if you're not making substantial amount of money every month from the rental, your equity is growing while someone else is paying that mortgage for you. So it's a lot of different avenues to talk and coach someone through. But I really look forward to those opportunities to coach people through.
Do you discuss this with the children that you're mentoring, the youth, about owning homes one day?
I didn't. When I did that, I was working with a doctor under their practice and working for the state of Texas, and it was very regimented as to what I was able to talk with them about. This was children who had problems. They had diagnosed behavioral health problems, so the way that we helped them was very specific. And nothing along the lines of real estate. I didn't let those lines cross. When I'm working in the community, though, because I do volunteer in the community, and every opportunity I have to talk to young people about buying property, I like to do that. But not in that capacity. I had to take that counseling job very seriously.
No, and I appreciate that. I appreciate you keep those things separate. You don't blur those lines. And that's one reason I was drawn to you. Like right now, you're teaching at the academy. You're still teaching master sergeants to become future sergeants major and command sergeants major. And the thing is, I like that because you don't have that bully mentality. Your leadership style is not I'm your superior, do as I say. You have that servant leadership style, and that's what I've always appreciated about you. And let's talk about that style of leadership, getting people to do what you say, not because they fear you, but because they appreciate you and know that you are leading from a place inside your heart.
Yeah. So, we're similar in that way. So our conversations when we were both here as instructors, I saw how you did that in the classroom. And then also while we were going through the educational process, having conversations about how that was going, gave me a lot of opportunities to see your personality and see your approach to things. But going into any situation where you're going to be working with people, getting to know the people matters. So building the community, building a safe environment. And I'm not sure if you remember Dr. Jane Vella. Dr. Jane Vella talked about the setting up the classroom environment so that it can be a better learning opportunity. And one of the things that she postulated was the making it a safe space. And when first reading that, you can think, making sure that the door's locked so we don't have to worry about school shooters, or making sure no one has brought any weapons into the building, or those type of things. But really what she was talking about is, as an instructor, as a facilitator, are you making this place a safe space for everyone to contribute to the conversation? Because in adult learning, it's not about me as a facilitator. It's about me as a facilitator being able to draw in and the individuals so that I can draw out the experiences that they have to add to the conversation about whatever the topic is. So if we don't do that, if you go into this environment with an authoritarian style delivery and managing your classroom, you're not going to get the classroom participation. So it just wouldn't work. The adult learning model wouldn't work. The adult learning model is so centered on the understanding that all of these adults, first, they chose to be here, and all of these adults have something to add to the conversation. And there is the concept of the more knowledgeable other. Vajkowski brought that out. And then as a facilitator, understand that you may not be the most knowledgeable person in this classroom about said topic. You may have to rely on this other individual to be the knowledgeable individual for this conversation. So those relationships and understanding classroom dynamics are a big part of what makes it able to flow and makes me able to do this job and have fun with it. These people know a lot, and just drawing that out of them is a good thing.
Yeah, like you said, they know a lot. They want to share, and not trying to be the subject matter expert and everything. Letting those ones, just letting all that amazing energy shine. Let all that stuff shine through. And then you find out, man, I learned a lot from these students. Like, they just start, once they know that you're on their team and that you have their back, they just start pouring. They start pouring. They pour into you just as much as you're pouring into them. And then the classroom environment, it just becomes a symbiotic thing where everybody's working together. And now they're teaching you just as much as, you're teaching them.
Yeah.
That's the beautiful piece about it. I think that's one of the reasons you have been so successful in everything you do, even with the selling of the homes. I remember you showed me a couple of homes. Now, of course, people would come in from California and then super up under you, but I remember how you shared the home with me. It wasn't a place of superiority. It was, hey, this is what's here. Take a look at this. These are some things you want to look at. But it was always a calm. That's why I think people like working with you, because it's a calm. It's not hey, I'm the expert. Do as I say.
Yeah.
I don't think you get far with that.
I think it's a good approach for me. As I teach and coach other realtors, though, we talked earlier about financial stability. So having financial stability allows me to do that. In real estate, there are some proven techniques to sell properties, to get clients and sell properties. But to me, it can be very invasive. It can be very pushy. It can seem like a used car salesman type of mentality. And so I don't want to do those things. I can't deny that those things are effective. It's just not what I want to be. I don't want to be that pushy person. I'm not going to start my day calling 100 people to ask them do they want to sell their home. I feel like I'm bugging people and bothering people. But I have to recognize that the individuals who do that, they call 100 people. 98 of them either hang up on them or curse them out. But out of that, 2 of them they're gonna get a transaction. You deal with a lot of rejection doing that, and then you get transactions. Well, at the end of the day, did they get a transaction? Do they have a client? Yes. It's just not the way I want to do business.
Well, it comes down to you have to and you get to. There's nothing in your life right now where you have to do anything. Your mentality is, I get to be this professional and help share in this whole process of buying a home. You get to experience and walk with someone, whether it's their first, second, third home or rental property, whatever have you, as opposed to, I need to make this sale so I can make this money. Again, that's what financial freedom does for you. That's what financial literacy does for you. It makes you see opportunities completely different. You don't have to be a real estate agent or realtor. You get to do this. You get to be an instructor. Financially, you're set without any one of these things. All you got to do is wake up every day and you're set financially. And your wife is a GS-12. So all of these things, again, it's about not having a scarcity mindset. And I think you embody that pretty well. Now, this is what I want to talk about, because I just found out about this yesterday. No, actually a couple days ago. I wish you had shared it with me quicker, but man, you be moving and shaking. Let's talk about the book. Author, Roger Craig. Do you have a copy of it?
I do. I always keep a copy close by.
Let's put it up. And I'll put the link on here as well, so everybody can actually see it. And also I'll put your link, so people thinking about buying homes or whatever have you, I would definitely say Roger Craig. If you're looking to buy a home, if you just want some advice, definitely lean into him. He's not going to make you feel stupid. It's not going to make you feel like, hey, man, you should know this, or I'm in my 40s and in my 50s. I feel like I should be here. Roger Craig will work with you, okay? Yeah. But back to the book, man. Back to the book. All right. What's the title? I know I just saw it, but I want to hear it come from you.
The title, Building Resilience in Real Estate. But then the subtext is Thriving Through Challenges in the Texas Market Using Proven Army Principles in Resiliency. So what it drives down to is that the same way I was counseling the youth personnel, I was using the Texas principle, but I was also using the Army Master Resiliency Trainer skills that I've learned in the Army. I'm certified Master Resiliency Trainer. I was certified when I was an E8, and then, as you know, when we came here as a student at the academy, then you go through that training again, so you get Master Resiliency training again. But I really believe in the Master Resiliency principles, and then I saw an opportunity to use that for realtors. So I took the Army principles and I tailored them towards the realtor community, and the ability. I just described to you how some individuals can start their day off making 100 phone calls. It's an actual technique that we teach people. 100 phone calls to start your day off. That's a lot of rejection to start your day. Can you imagine starting your day with rejection, rejection. So then, how do you deal with that? How do you help realtors go through those kind of tough times? And let's say they did all of that stuff. They went through 100 calls. They got 2 transactions out of that. And then those 2 transactions fall apart. They don't even make it to get to a paycheck. It's tough. It's hard. They go through those tough times. They can't pay their bills now. They can't feed their families. How do you deal with that? Well, there was no programs there. There was nothing set up for realtors to be able to be resilient, so that when they encountered those things, they already had the tools to deal with them. In the Army, we teach soldiers all the time about how to build these skills so that when you encounter a difficult time, you're able to be resilient through those things. And quite often, it doesn't just help you get through it. You're even better after the process. You learn from it. You grew from it. Instead of it breaking you, it made you better in the end. So when I saw this possibility to make these things available to realtors, I looked to see if it was out there. And then, I can't remember who said this, right? But who better to do it than you? When you're looking for this great thing, why look for someone else to do it? If you can do it, then do it.
And are these skills just for agents, or can anybody pick up your book and learn something from it?
Anybody can pick up the book. If you picked up the book and read it, you're going to recognize the skills that we have in the Army. So soldiers are already using these skills. I set it up for realtors, but let's say there was a person who was working in the construction industry. They're going to have difficult times. They're going to be able to utilize these skills to get through those things as well. The skills work for people, not a particular career field.
I like that. So definitely when you all see the title, don't just assume it's just for realtors, real estate agents, home buying. It's just a lot more that encompasses that. And I'm excited to get a copy of it. I saw that you had hardcover, Kindle, and the soft cover on Amazon already.
Yes, some people have requested an audio book, and I haven't done that, but I may get to that in the future. I'm trying to decide, do I do it myself with my voice, or do I, Amazon already has people who do that, so do I have someone else do it? I got to make that decision on which route to go.
Yeah, and that one's, for me with my book, I found someone on Fiverr, and a great place. You have all these individuals that this is all they do. And I found a person with the same beliefs I have, and, beautiful voice, and, but yeah, man, I'm excited. I'm definitely going to read it. Actually, I'm going to, because we have a men's club, I'm going to ask my men's club, hey, let's read this book here on our next one.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I'd like to hear how that goes.
Yeah. I'll definitely give you some feedback, because here's the thing, man. You're doing something positive. Again, like you said, with these cold calls, when you're making cold calls, and I definitely don't do cold calls. I know what I bring to the table. I teach financial literacy, and I teach financial literacy again because it changes the way people look at life. It's not about money. It's about getting past all of those bills, getting past any of that stuff, and having the freedom to decide this is what I get to do. I don't have to do nothing. I get to do this, and this.
Yeah.
And if we do that with every individual on the planet, imagine someone can do some amazing things when they're not stressed about bills. They're not stressed about, what this paycheck or food or any of that stuff. That's what it's about. Having the freedom to choose what you want to do with your day.
Yeah.
But I
I
definitely want
like that.
to share with you. Go ahead, man.
I'm just saying, I like the term uh, that you get to, not that you have to. This is what I get to do. I I think
Yeah,
that's an amazing way of looking at things. And
yeah.
I think
It
that
just puts you in a
if it
different
can be looked
mindset.
at, if it can be looked at in parenting as well, it's like I don't have to be a parent. I get to be a parent. In many cases, you do have
Yeah,
to
I
be a
get to be a
parent, but
father.
if you can
You
look
get to
at
be
it as
a
I get to
husband.
be a parent. Yeah,
Yeah, you get to if you choose if there's a woman or a man on this planet that says, "Hey, I'm trusting you," because think about it. At night, if you physically want to roll over and let's say stab your wife, you're not gonna do that. But there has to be some level of trust. Like my wife could
yeah,
physically poison me. She brings me stuff to drink. There's trust. And if you
exactly.
can find somebody that trusts you that much, hey, you get to be a part of something great and better
Yeah,
than just yourself. You don't
yeah,
have to do. I don't have to take. Listen, I don't have to do nothing if I don't want to. I don't have to do nothing. But all of these things, they're opportunities. There's something positive. If I wash clothes, guess what? I got a bunch of clothes. I get to have clothes. I'm washing
yeah,
dishes. Look, I got dishes. I got running water. I got all of these amazing things in my life that are given to me. And again, when you take somebody like yourself, like I said, I started this whole conversation. When you find somebody like Roger Craig, who's given all of these opportunities, what do you do with it? What do you do with it? You, real estate agent, youth counselor, teacher at the prestigious Sergeant's Major Academy, retired command sergeant major, been a first sergeant, married, children that are excelling, author. You see life differently. And it starts, listen, it's not about money. It starts there. Because that's one of the biggest problems. You can have a great marriage, but if you're not bringing home the money to eat, somebody fighting, you fighting. There's gonna be an argument.
yeah.
Okay, there's gonna
That's
be some beef
listening to
going on in the
you,
house.
run down that list of things, accomplishments, and milestones in my life. That it can start to sound like that's a lot of stuff, you know. And sometimes I think people like you and I, we get to a certain level, but we need to stop and look back at things and see what we've done. There's some in the book, the couple of things you just touched on are actually in the book. Uh, Being thankful that there's food on the table. When you hit that nozzle on the sink, and water comes out. How many times have we done that and just be thankful that that is a thing, because that's not necessarily something that everyone in the world gets to do. And we don't hit
Right.
that nozzle and like hope that water comes out. We're expecting water to come out when we do this, right? It's just where we are, and we are not always thankful about that, but we get to have that. This weekend, yesterday and then today, I'm cleaning the pool in the backyard. If I take that statement, I have to clean the pool. That's one thing, but I get to clean the pool. That's a whole new way of looking at that, and then being thankful for the fact that first I have a pool, uh, recognizing that I was able to do certain things so that my family can be able to enjoy a pool. So now it's not a look of I have to clean the pool. I get to clean this pool. I think I like the way you phrase those things, because it matters. It matters greatly, and it can change your mindset when you're going out to do these things.
And it's just like even living in the United States. It's a place where you get to have a lot. Even the people who are struggling, it's a place that you live in. And if you don't allow that division to come in, again, it's all about mindset. And I do appreciate the fact that you went the route that you did with your book to tap into a field where you're looking for people in the service industry, serving people by selling homes and getting crushed. If you got to make 100 cold calls a day, you're going to get crushed.
Yeah,
Especially spam. People with spam, I know how I deal with spam callers. My sons sit back and laugh, and I have my methods, and probably not the nicest methods, but I teach my sons, hey, these are systems in place to, unfortunately, people take advantage of people with these systems, you know,
yeah,
taking people's credit card information, elderly, and all this
yeah.
stuff. But we're not going to get into that. That's a whole another podcast we can talk about. But
But it
I
does
appreciate
lead to
what you do,
the.
man.
I'm sorry. I was just
No,
saying
go
it does
ahead,
lead
definitely.
to the rejection, right? And like that's a method that we teach people. But I, I'm not answering these spam calls, and when I do take one that the system didn't identify as spam, I can tell almost immediately that it is a spam call. And then I'm just hanging up. I'm not arguing with people because I've gotten past the point of trying to talk my way out of those conversations. I just hang up and then, but I'm on the other end of it. You could have some youngster out there who's trying to make a living, but I'm sorry, that's just not something I'm going to entertain anymore, you know?
Yeah, but you've tapped into a place where people need resiliency in that. Because imagine being one of those individuals that's constantly hung up on. So in your book, you've tapped into something very positive, a place, a market that I never even thought about. Because I'm like, hey, you're a real estate agent, show the house. If it don't sell, it don't sell. Get into something else. Go work at McDonald's part-time. Figure it out.
Yeah.
But you've tapped into something very positive. You saw a need and you leaned into it. So now, what's in the future? Because I know you're not going to slow down, okay? And honestly, we should never slow down. We should just continue to appreciate everything that we have. Maintain that appreciative mindset. Like, we appreciate everything that's given to me is a blessing. I'm blessed. My health, everything is a blessing. So what's in the future for Roger Craig and the Craig family?
The immediate future is to write another book, the second part of the book. The book is small so that it can be read very quickly, and it covers a few of the resiliency skills that I want to teach to realtors. So I need my next book to continue and have the other skills that I want realtors to learn. Additionally, something that helped me get to finishing this book is taking the advice of someone who I was watching a podcast online, and an individual was saying, have you been writing a book for a couple of years now? You're like, what are you waiting on? What are you waiting on to publish this book? He says, just publish the book. He says, your first book is going to be horrible. Just get it out of the way, get it done. So I went through and I got the book done to the best of my ability, and I'm proud of this book. But I also see where my next book is going to be better, and I'm ready to get to that. Right? I want to get to these next skills because they're different from the ones that are in this current book, but I also want to be better at the process of writing the book. Secondly, back in November, I started my own brokerage. So I opened Honor Point Realty, and I am a broker instead of just being a realtor. I'm a realtor who owns his own brokerage. I want to grow my brokerage. Right now, my brokerage is just me. I stepped away from my other brokerage, and I want to grow my brokerage by bringing in additional agents. So in the next year, that's where I'll be focusing things as well. So getting the book done and also getting my brokerage to grow. As my brokerage grows, I will move away from my job here at the Sergeant Major's Academy. I really love teaching, but I'm going to find other ways of teaching by developing a training program with the books that I'm writing. So the books are there, but there's also workbooks that go along with the book. The second book will have a workbook that goes along with it as well. And I'll continue my education journey in that direction. I have considered a doctorate degree, and I'd like to have a conversation with you offline about that one, because I'm not sure how far I want to go with that doctorate degree and what that would actually do for me. But that is something that I'm considering. The whole educational journey, Dash, I think you and I had this conversation, but if you go back and look, if you had known Roger Craig in high school, Roger Craig, the jock football player, no one expected me to have a bachelor's degree, or what I even graduated from high school was probably some of their questions. But to have multiple master's degrees and considering a doctorate degree is something that not only would those people not think about it, but I probably wouldn't have dreamt that was something that I would be doing either. Being able to excel and go and achieve things that are above what you thought were possible, I think it's a great thing to do and see. I think it's something that you do a good job of showing the world, because people, young people who look like you and I, need to see that. They see enough failure in their lives. They need to see some people who are successful, who look just like they do. So I think we need to continue doing that, if not just for us, but also for others.
No, man, that's beautiful. Way to sum it up, man. No, and then as far as the doctorate, what I would tell you right now is this. Look at it. If it's something that's a personal accomplishment and it's not going to hinder anything else that you're doing, go for it. If it's just something to have a status, then I would say leave it alone. But if it's something, because here's the thing, education and learning, you don't have to have a degree behind learning any
Yeah.
skill. There's a chat GPT, there's all black and white in the book. You know, if it's something that you want though, if it's something that you want, be free to go for it. Be free if that's something that you desire, okay? But you don't need any other credentials than what you've already accomplished to do anything else greater. Because you already done some great stuff. You don't need all that, you know, but if you want it, be free to go after it, brother. That's the thing. We don't want to feel like, man, I'm doing too much, or there's going to be people in your life that's telling you, man, why you always doing something? You should just relax. You're retired now. Why don't you just chill out? You need to go over in the corner somewhere and stop talking to me. You know, when people come to you with that mindset.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you want to be right now at your age, if you want to go do something else, if you want to run for president, run for it. Go for it. You know, we're only given one life. Someone died so we can have free salvation. I'm going to do something with this salvation. So if you want to do it, brother, go for it. Go for it and get it.
Sounds like a plan. I appreciate that encouragement.
Yeah, man. So listen, Roger, I appreciate you, man. And I don't really call you Roger. I think it's the first time I ever called you Roger. It's Brother Craig. It's always been Brother Craig.
I think
Thank you for your time, brother.
That's a level of familiarity that is good for you to get to that point to call me Roger. But Brother Craig just sounds more like how you and I are, and the closest that we have.
Yeah. Yes,
There
sir.
was
Yes,
an
sir.
element
so,
on
man,
me.
appreciate what you do.
I'm sorry, but there was a question that you had that you sent to me about some information, and one of the things that was that I thought about, and I'm not sure if we were getting to an end there, but I was thinking about the topic of what advice do you have for someone who is stuck, and I felt like my
Hey,
my
let's
advice
talk about it because, yeah.
I felt like
let's
my
talk about
advice was too simple, but I don't know where you were wanting to go with that, what direction you were going with that.
Well, I mean, anybody, you already kind of answered it, you know, that if you're thinking about buying a home or if you're thinking about, you know, rental property, and it's just leaning into it. You know, any fears that we have, look at everything as an opportunity for growth. That's it. Whatever it is in life, whatever challenge, just say, you know what, if I don't hit my mark, I'm still going to grow.
Yeah.
You're still going to grow. If you fail, if you go after whatever, you're doing this broker thing, which is pretty amazing, man. I don't expect nothing less from Brother Craig, but you just say, hey, I'm going to do it. And failure is not bad because
Yeah.
you're still growing. Everything we do is an opportunity. You're still going to write your second book, probably your third or fourth book. Let's say they don't sell. And you still wrote these books. You're still growing. You're still learning. You're not just leaning and, well, I'm just going to just chill out. I'm retired. I'm just going to go chill out. I'm going to play golf, which is nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with chilling out. Nothing wrong with playing golf. I mean, you've done 30 years serving your country. If you said I'm doing nothing else is just play golf and work out, take care of my family, that's still a major accomplishment in itself.
Yeah.
But no, I just think that, yeah.
To live life where
To
you're
live
able to
life
do
is
that
just-
is successful. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that question was more meant if, you know, but you already answered it. You've given everything that you need to give in this podcast. What we've discussed is when you have an opportunity, seize it and don't let go. And if you
Yeah.
mess up, it's okay. Keep a positive attitude. Because I know
Yeah.
everything ain't been peachy for you. But you maintain this attitude of positivity consistently.
Yeah,
So-
I think that's so very important because when you're maintaining that positive attitude, it affects your next move. Like whatever you just went through, failure or whatever it was, your positive attitude towards that affects how you're going to move forward into your next thing, whatever that is. My final piece of advice to someone who is stuck is just don't be, and that's oversimplified, but that's how I see it. Don't be stuck. When I have my students who are they're having writer's block, I just tell them to start writing. And they're, well, Mr. Craig, what do we write about? You just write. Get your mind out of the way and just start writing. You can start off with what you had for breakfast, write that down and how that made you feel. And then you drove down the street. Just start writing. Eventually, you're going to have that writing process and it'll transform into something else. But to get past that being stuck, just don't be. Just get started doing. You might not even know what you're doing. But just don't. Dash, I can't tell you how many times, this may sound odd, might not give people confidence in the military, but there was at least 4 times where I was put in a position in the military that I was learning while I was doing this position. Someone saw something in me, but I wasn't ready for that position, or at least I didn't have everything I thought I needed to know to go into that position. But I wasn't turning one of them down. I was not turning down that next leadership opportunity that was given to me just because I didn't have this one thing or that other thing. I was going to do it. And I'm going to put forth the effort to learn everything that I need to know. But instead of being stuck, just don't be. Just get out there and do it. But if you get out there and do that and you fail,
I got a nugget. I just put that one in my kit bag. I like that one. Just don't be stuck. Don't be. Because I guess if you get stuck, you can not be stuck as well.
yeah. Trying to be perfect
That's
keeps
a good
people
one.
stuck. And that's not, if you're waiting until you're perfect to get started, then people have passed you by. And time has passed you by. Opportunities that you've missed while you're trying to wait to be perfect. Just go, just get it done. Do it.
And if you make a mistake, just take it as a learning process and keep moving.
Yeah. So that piece is so very important. That's not, you take failure and making mistakes, but don't beat yourself up about it. Don't just disregard those failures and mistakes. Learn from them, but don't let it keep you back. Keep moving. Learn from it and keep going.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Man,
This is
I love
a
that. No.
pleasurable,
And
like always, is a pleasurable conversation with you, Dash. Always.
yeah, man. And I appreciate you sharing. I appreciate your insight. Appreciate your candidness and transparency. So before we jump off, is there anything else you want to share, with the listeners and the viewers about Roger Craig and the Craig family?
I have dreams, even I'll be 60 years old coming up here in August. And even as an old man, I have dreams. And I'm still chasing dreams. Just don't let your dreams die. Whatever your dreams are, go and follow them, chase them, and achieve those dreams.
Man, I love that. Love it, brother. Well, listen, guys, y'all heard it here first from Brother Craig, Roger Craig, Mr. Craig, whatever you want to call him. I just call him Brother Craig because he's been like a brother to me since we first connected at the Sergeant's Major Academy in the Army. So I will make sure y'all have his information. Again, if you're a first-time home buyer, you want to get into real estate, or you just want to have a conversation with an individual who is doing things, who consistently pushes himself for greatness, reach out to him. With that being said, let's continue to get that financial freedom. God bless, and I hope you all have a great day.